Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and our distinguished guest today is Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you very much for having me on again. I'm at home, still mending from my hip replacement surgery.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
Well, but still, since you are on the program, you may tell us of the latest news, including your correspondence with chess.com.
Well, with Peter Doggers, yes. So there are two headlining events happening this week. I'm amused that the one of them was even on the headline of ChessResults.com. So one of them, of course, is the Sinkfield Cup, and I'll cover that second in
Absolutely.
St. Louis. But before that, the Clash of Blames, or you could call it Clash of Claims 2, between Vladimir Kramnik and Jose Martinez, playing standard 3+2 blitz chess to gauge each other's strengths, with the idea that this informs Kramnik's you know largely unfounded accusations against Jose Martinez quite a few months ago. So it was actually a very exciting match. Um, the Martinez had been ahead coming into the last day, but Kramnik stormed out, winning six of 8 games with four remaining, and he took a 4 point lead, or maybe it was tied. Well, whatever. Um, Kramnik had a 4 point lead with 4 games to go, and uh, Jose Martinez, won 3 games on the trot and was winning in the fourth game. And however, blundered in time pressure and got mated. So what
Hmm.
I'm showing is the story by Peter Doggers, which was just posted at chess.com. This is 8:48 Pacific time, so 11:48, like
Hmm.
literally just posted. I was on the broadcast of the second half of day three, along with international master Lawrence Trent, and he asked me some questions about my opinions, statistical opinions of the match. So those are mentioned at the end of the article. Okay, so here's the story by Peter Doggers, and the final game of the first day was exemplary. Yeah, so I have also been following this match with Hikaru Nakamura's commentary on Tuesday, and so Lawrence Trent agreed with a lot of Hikaru's observations that the play, in some senses, was equally good between the players, but Martinez put himself behind the 8 ball with some repetitions of inferior opening choices. Yeah, this was the crazy last game where I guess I can pick it up from here. Um, so let's see, where is this? What move is this? Or maybe yeah, that's right. So this is where yes, so G takes F3 would have won. This is where Kramnik started getting considerable counterplay. But there are moves that Martinez could have made to stop the counterplay. He got organized against Black's uh, F pawn in seventh rank too late in this game. And now, however, Martinez is winning again because Black should not be able to connect the rooks. But there was some um, mistakes by both players. Going back was wrong. White should have advanced the king to d4, and then White will break through and run the queen side pawns faster than Black can get any counterplay on the king side. Now, however, though, White has to put up with the rooks along the seventh rank, and Martinez simply miscounted this position. This is now over, and he resigned. Cannot stop me. Otherwise, it would have been a draw, but that would have been equally good to play. But as the notes here, White should have activated the king and gotten it out from under the seventh rank, and then White could still win. But of course, when you have just seconds left in your clock, what can you do? Anyway, the part that involves me was toward the end. So on the final day, American professor and statistician Kenneth Regan joined the original broadcast and commented, "I supported the chess.com report entitled Tuesday was posted in late April. I think I've mentioned this on your show before. I have
Yeah.
my own Title Tuesday page where I basically reproduce the results by chess.com, showing there is not widespread, large-scale cheating in Title Tuesdays. There's some, but when you have 180,000 to now 200,000 data points just for 2024 alone, even more from last year, even with a few cheaters, they make just epsilon difference to the average. So my average right now is 49.90, very close to the 50.0 mark for Title Tuesdays. And then I was asked about Kramnik's Twitter posts, and what I said is, they're not normalized. And he doesn't have a benchmark of reference for them. He says he says a table that shows outliers, but he doesn't show the rest of the table. How many data points is he taking these outliers from? You need that in order to establish a distribution benchmark of reference. So that's, of course, everything I do. But the idea of distributions and their size and outliers goes back to Bernoulli in the 1700s. And I don't find enough of that. And I said a few other things about how, Kramnik was given my contact in the year 2020, but he didn't use it. And I've, with my FIDE friends, I'm not trying to contact Kramnik directly, but I've asked them, who is giving him statistical advice? He doesn't have to talk with me, but if he would talk with some real statisticians. I was told there was one statistician in Israel he consulted, but nothing more came of that. So that's, I can't even begin on Kramnik's observations. I have mentioned on your show the article from last December that I wrote, Have I Been Cheating at Wordle, on the Gödel's Lost Letter blog that talks about streaks and streakiness. So how Nakamura could have a 46-game streak with only one draw.
Mm-hmm.
And not being so unusual amid the many thousands of games he plays. Anyway.
It's also strength of his opponents matters a lot.
Yes, that's right. In this case here, one of the things I said on the broadcast was that Martinez was playing the Alapin Sicilian. So, E4, C5, C3, knight F6, E5, knight D5. Now, I play D4 or possibly knight F3 first, but Jospin plays bishop C4, which is a move, but the positions that he got 5 moves later after bishop C4 were already, like minus 0.2 with engines, not very inspiring for white. So anyway, so I made a joke, I used to be known for playing bad openings, except that people said, hey, the Alapin Sicilian you play is actually good. So I feel rather weird when I see that played badly. Anyway, okay, so the games in the Clash of Blames, were completely normal. I was officially screening the event for Shohreh Bayat, who sent me thanks this morning too, but there was they were clustered very tightly around the 50 mark of my first stage screenings. I haven't even bothered to go to the second stage. So the other event of note, of course, is the Sinkfield Cup. And for this, I'm going to use Dennis Monacruso's analysis. Let me know if it all shows correctly with tabs in Windows. Okay. So this is now Dennis Monacruso's. I subscribe to his Substack, so I guess I have permission to use it. Oh, upgrade to founding. I didn't know. Okay. Yep. So as he says, after 9 of the first 10 games were drawn, the third round played yesterday could easily have had 5 decisive games.
Yes, correct.
And it did have 2 decisive games. Anyway, so Caruana won an up and down game with Nodirbek Abdusattorov, and Jan Nepomniachtchi had a very wild game against Anish Giri. So I'll cover the Caruana and Nepo games.
Okay.
So now this is what I want to see now. What happens? Okay, now when I do this, actually I see what happens is it opens a new tab. So you probably don't see a chessboard right now. So
No.
let me stop sharing and resume share, and then I'll share the tab. Okay. All right. Okay, so manage your favorite games. All right, so now it should show a chessboard. It's actually showing Praggnanandha's game with Gukesh.
Not yet.
Not yet. Let's see.
Yes.
Okay, good. And when I do this and then click this, do you see Caruana Abdusattorov now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So I'm glad that works without my having to show my whole screen. Okay, so this is the very common opening choice, this Giocco-like. It's actually not a Giocco piano because Black's bishop is on e7, among other things, but it's the same sort of build-up. And there's the eternal choice: do you put your pawn on a6 or a5? Usually the a6 maybe is more attractive when you have your bishop on c5 to a7, but as it is, this keeps white from expanding on the queen side and establishes some dark squared play for black's pieces, which is especially appropriate after black exchanges his inferior bishop. So white advances in the center, but as I said, black has some command of the squares c5 and e5. Okay, so okay, so now so definitely maneuvering game at this point. I would have to say that black is well, I would say that black actually, I guess, is equal. Maybe black has structural problems, though, because white is going to play a knight on d5. Let's say black is as active as you can be for a position where the center favors white, as does the d5 outpost. White actually goes to f5. Okay, c4. Okay, so now the knight goes on d5, and here, okay, so now here, looking, if black has to play queen c7, so c6 is not possible. Now it is very clear that white has established an advantage. Okay, and white is now gained some more space. Black at least has that one good outpost for the knight, so there shouldn't by any means be a decisive advantage for white. Black is structurally sound, but slight pull. Okay. Anyway, now, however, though, it's not clear what white is attacking. And Monacruza says black is beginning to take over the initiative and gain some edge. So now white retreats, and this allows black to make convert over to an attack on the H file. And now maybe this is the type of move that you wouldn't see in this position. It's actually correct to bring the rook back and just double on the H file. And if anything, white will have to waste time exchanging rooks on the H file because white does not have a breakthrough in the center. Again, black is firmly controlling E5 and C5. So white does not have a breakthrough. And okay, so however, black played rook h8 without exchanging the pawn, and white should have captured here. And I don't know how the game would go after that, but now white did allow black to carry out that maneuver, and there we are. That's how the game went. So now white has to waste time trading off the rooks. Now, Monacruza's at this point, or the engine says that black could have won a pawn. Okay, so black should have been ahead here, but instead, Abdusattorov, perhaps short of time. The time control is very interesting in this tournament. It's similar to the FIDE standard time control, which is 90 minutes to turn 40, then 30 minutes plus a 30-second increment throughout the game, except that it's 120 minutes for the whole game with no gateway at turn 40. So it would be interesting, and I could see this from the chess.com broadcast, how short of time the players were at this point. So there isn't the lump sum at turn 40 to help you budget your time. Okay, so this is still, so this is obviously what Abdusadarov was gaming for. This is ordinarily ideal for black in these kinds of positions to break white's Maroczy bind type formation with d5, and the pieces in the center are more active for black. Black's rook will come through, black's knight is better positioned. The only flaw, as Montecrusos notes, is that this should have been prepared by getting the king back to f8 and maybe to e7 to avoid white's counterplay on the a file, h file. Okay, so anyway, so white captured, and rook d1. Black went for pawn capture, but now okay. So now it's unclear what's happening, but black still has to worry about the king position. So this now is actually a losing move, just to show that there is latent danger in this position. White simply unpins the knight, and now knight g4 to h6 check is a big amplified threat. Okay, so this you wouldn't think black is in mortal danger in this position, but white's clamp on the king side is operative. So in fact, the game now ends very quickly. There's not much to do. White could actually have just captured the loose piece, because after queen e5 check and queen takes g5 check, white is knight g4 anyway, and black's f pawn is pinned. But black can't really save the position or save the knight. Black can't move the knight because it was guarding the rook. So attack over, white is up a piece for nothing. So sudden collapse in black's position. So really very interesting. In fact, I will take a look at the game on chess.com for round 3 and just see how short. It's not showing on the tab, but I'll just announce how black had 31 seconds left at the end, and that was the increment. So when black played the terrible move, he had 4.46 left on the clock. When black played the king g8 move, Caruana was down to 2 minutes. So the players were in more time pressure than they would be under the FIDE standard time control with the lump sum at turn 40. So it's interesting to see how that might be affecting the tournament. By theory, I gauge everything by the time to play 60 moves. At 2 hours plus 30-second increment to turn 60 gives 150 minutes to turn 60, just like the FIDE standard time control. So that should be equivalent. Okay, now whoops, maybe I'm not logged in. Actually, that's what's happening. I am a subscriber of the blog, but for some reason I've not logged in because I haven't viewed it recently. Okay, let me. Whoops. How do I get back to the window with? Oh, that's curious. I go this way. That's how I do it. Okay, so the other decisive game, which had an absolutely crazy opening. Now, do you see Nipum, Nichi, and Giri?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So this was a Samish Nimzo Indian. Okay. So in the Samish, white allows the double pawn and is just going to try to overrun black in the center. Okay, with f3, e4, and so on. Okay, here's the f3 move. White hasn't moved a piece yet. Black has even castled, but there's not much for black to do immediately to take advantage. Black braces himself for white's onslaught and hopes that the better activity and play against the c pawns will keep the balance. So this is this is okay. It's in some ways the opposite order of doing things. Usually black would play c5 first, but okay. Now this is technically a novelty, but black maybe is looking ahead to having the knight on a5 and the queen on a4, even without advancing the c pawn. Okay, so at this point, white, with of course, follows the precepts of Sigbert Tarasch and everyone else. Time you've got the center, time to start developing your pieces and attack. No, white, Nepo goes for the attack without developing any pieces. Hey, well, in a sense, he is developing the rook on h1. Okay, so Monacruza says, well, it's probably no good, but it's a fresh position. The player is going to have an adventure. And Nepo was doing this partly psychologically because here he doesn't like being directly attacked. And so it turns out that what black should do, engine approved and tactics approved, is instead of playing c5 and knight a5 to go against white's c pawns, black should play knight h5 with the idea of f5. Okay, going against white's f pawn and expanding in the area where black's pieces are most active and white's pieces are undeveloped.
And then a move queen e8 would be well justified.
Right, and that is in fact the second justification of that move.
Yep.
Playing very similar to how one does in some variations of the Dutch defense or Stonewall.
Yes. Okay.
So that would have been effective, but this is not really paying attention to what white is doing. So this is nice. White's this grabs space. You can't play an h5 anymore. White's rook is doing something, and now white starts bringing pieces into the attack. Again, if you said this to a student in a chess club, what constitutes developing a piece to bring it into the attack? They might say bishop d3 or bishop g5 or bishop e3 and queen d2 or knight h3 and going either f4 or f2 g4. Those are all reasonable things, but actually the way white attacks is in Arabian style, the way chess was played 1,000 years ago. Rook a2. The old Arabian attack in the game where the queens were very weak, so the rooks were the strongest pieces, was to play the G and H pawns forward and double the rooks. So here we are. This is the way chess was played in the 1100s. So this looks ridiculous, but if white can mate black, who cares about the c4 pawn? Okay, white is actually giving up. So it turns out that the engine says white should have actually continued thematically with g5, but there's probably not that much wrong with rook g2 in a practical sense. Okay, now question is white's position falling apart on the queen side? Well, no. Now white makes a defending move that braces the c pawn and the d pawn.
So actually, white developed its second piece in the game.
Right.
Game rook g2.
But you know, this is better than castling. White wasn't going to queenside castle, and yet you've connected the rooks on the king side. So white's king can go to f2. Okay, yep. if it needs to. Here we go, g5. This is an attack. I don't know how white's queen is going to join the attack yet, but oh well, we'll see how that goes. Now black should have played knight b3. One thing forcing one of white's potential attackers to move.
Ken, what do you think about move f5?
For black, well, let's see. I can play it on the board. I don't have an engine guiding me here.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like, one point of the move is that you can try and keep the kinks, the H and G files closed now.
Absolutely.
Because G6 is not going to force anything, and white does not want to open the E file or the F file. So let's see. However, you can take it on passant.
Yes.
And that opens space to come. And I guess, let's see now, is H6 embarrassing to you and bishop G5? Maybe white just gets some play here. H6.
Pawn on F3 is hanging though, too.
Yeah, but it's not mate.
It's not. Okay, on H6, probably G6 is.
Right. Now, I see. You're saying the pawn is hanging if I play bishop at G5. Okay. Um, well, let's
Oh,
see.
maybe we are missing something, but I think
I don't know. I think the rook gets in trouble. Let's see what on earth happens.
okay, rook f7, for example. Never
Yeah,
mind, rook f3 should be considered too.
right. I'm wondering. I'm gonna move my knight to attack it, and then the question to attack the rook. I guess I can't get threats quickly enough to black's king. Okay, so yeah, this is very unclear. This is where I guess I should.
It's unclear. Yeah, f5. That's something what I would think about.
Yeah,
This-
rook h3. I guess is.
Okay, then rook f8, rook a f8.
Yeah, do I stick my king in front? I guess I stick my king in front.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Then e5.
E5, yeah, let's see. Okay, well, bishop g5 to move your rook back.
Oh, rook f7, I guess.
Yeah, let's see. I guess I don't have. Yeah, black is up a pawn. I have to say that. And I can't play d5 because queen takes e4 is legal.
Yeah, that's true. Even if you take on e5, I can play queen e4 with
Yeah,
some threats.
right. Yeah, let alone getting another attacker on f3. Yeah, okay. So this, yeah, this isn't so great for white.
Yeah,
So
maybe White could have played some stronger moves for sure, but at least f5 could have been considered.
yeah. Yeah. So instead, black played e5, which has the idea again wanting to attack in the center right away. So what's funny actually is that at this point, white could have castled, and you still have your rooks on open files. So castling was legal. Instead, white decided to just play consistent chess and go for opening up lines. It turns out, though, that h6, so Monocrusis and the engine he's using claims that h6 would have been viable here. I don't know. Needs a lot of calculation. White can actually sacrifice right away and start coming in.
Yeah.
But okay, and says that this is actually safe for black. The king will eventually run away. But,
yeah, and queen is ready to come for defense on f7.
Yeah,
if needed.
Right. But anyway, so black captured here, and now, well, white is doing okay. I mean, black's move won a pawn on f3. So now we're going to look at some of the lines, lines like the ones from the previous variation where black is cashing in on f3. But black needs to bring in one more piece to have anything to attack. White's knight on e2 is a wonderful defender. So now this is an amusing move. This is a nifty way to win a rook. So white is up the exchange here. Okay. So this is how the game went. Black has the exchange for 2 pawns. Just has to be careful. So once again, I should take a look at and see how much time Jiri had at this point. And the answer is at this point of the game. At this point of the game, Jiri had was down still at 35 minutes. So this is not in time pressure by any extent yet. So black played a move that is looking to attack, but the rule that should have been followed is that a knight on the rim is grim, and knight b3. So anyway, so black played knight f6, and now white is going to break through. So black is trying to break through, but Nepomniachtchi had calculated this. So black should have actually gone back with the knight. But anyway, White plays queen c1. Now there is interesting threats. Say a rook h8 check is going to appear on the board if black doesn't do anything. So now white. So if white, if you capture, then white's queen and rook are going to mate. Black's queen is one move too late for the defense. So now white is full rook ahead. Not just the exchange. Okay, wins the rook back. But now white's attack resumes with the other rook and the queen. And e6.
Yeah. Oh
one,
my God.
One attacker too many. And still now just queen and pawn. Nothing black can do about it. Black can't cover g8 and h6 all at the same time as white brings in one last defender. So the ultimate theme of the game was black's knight on a5 was out, and Nepomniachtchi resigned. So
yeah, very interesting game. Yeah, Nepomniachtchi is a player who can play sometimes very active and attacking chess quite well, and that game is very, very instructive with rook a2, in my opinion. It's a brilliant move, actually.
Yeah.
It's the only developed piece, and he creates such a strong attack. I would think that maybe what we discussed, f5 for black with queen on e8, maybe that would be possible. But
yes, yeah.
Still a very interesting game.
Very, very fighting game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Now this I just mentioned with Praggnanandhaa Gukesh. This game looks symmetrical, looks very even, but it's instructive to go over. I won't go over the whole thing with the analysis, but just a way that maybe both players were playing for winning chances, and black actually is one who gave himself losing chances. So the key sequence of the game was black goes for expanding on the king side. Black could just sit on this position. White can't really penetrate. Black has a solid blockade on e6, but
doesn't look right to me.
Yeah, well, this is fine, but the thing is, you actually can lose a position like this. So it is notable with the way the rooks are that after black captures on g1, white correctly captures on c8 rather than capturing on g1. Well, Savage just lost a pawn to c3, rook c3 check, but black should continue in like vein. So it turns out that even though the engine will be showing equality, black has to play rook f1 check and rook h1 to demonstrate it. So this natural move actually loses, and so white. So the answer is that white is going to come through on the king side. White's pawns are faster than black's pawns. Okay, but now white returns the favor in this endgame. So there's a nifty point coming up. I won't go into that line that white could have improved, but here is a point. This is the key point of the game in my view. It's natural to play the king one square in front of the pawn so that the pawn can advance to the 7th rank. But in fact, the correct way to play this position is to set up rook d6 check and the king emerging that way. So after this, now you play rook d6 check, and well, if king c5, there you come out by a d7, and you can escort the pawn that way. And otherwise, if black plays king c7, and then now you play rook d4, and you're able to sideline black's king.
Yeah, rook c4.
And this comes out, and black cannot organize a defense in time. Okay, so now what's interesting is that the game continuation is similar, but black has enough tempi with the queenside counterplay. Okay, so this is similar, but now black is able to play b5 right away. It wasn't true with black's king on b7. And so black simply takes this pawn, and this is a drawn pawn ending.
It's similar, but not the same.
Yes, so anyway, so as I said, there could have been 5 decisive games in that tournament, but maybe that's a presage of fighting chess to come.
Excellent. Ken, thank you so much for today's program. And this tournament is shaping us to be very, very interesting. I'm listening with my wife commentaries of Grand Chess Tour team of Yasser Seirawan with Naci Paikidze and Peter Svidler there and Kirilla. Very powerful team, and they're acting as a team. It's so interesting how they all work together. So I praise the commentary on a very, very high level, same as the tournament itself, really. Yeah. I think yesterday was discussion between Peter Svidler and Yasser Seirawan about the merits of time control with increment, delay, and no increments, no delay, what each one prefers. So they both admitted that they started to play without any increments or delays, and it was Blitz was 5 minutes per game, and that's it. Now, later on, Peter Svidler says that he feels comfortable enough to play both increments and delays. Increments are easier because you always had extra time added to you. On the other hand, it feels not right that the time which goes like in life into one direction. Sorry, somebody is trying. In one direction here, because of increment, it can go in another direction, and time is not going out slowly as you make so many moves, but actually it could be add up, and then say you have 30 seconds left, and all of a sudden you have a minute and a half left. Right. Now, in this case, delay is more logical, but it's not as popular by far. And for some reason, some people actually refuse to play delay at all. In my opinion, delay is preferable to increment, and no increment, no delay is the most preferable mode of chess to me.
The thing with, as I saw the Clash of Blames match with increment, you can bulk up a few seconds on the clock.
Yeah, I really don't like this idea. But anyway, it's great fun, and thank you so much, and we'll see you next week to discuss further games of Grand Chess Tour. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend.
Okay.
Everybody else, thank you. Bye-bye.